Right, so that's what exactly happened at the border when YouTuber Rudy Maya was trying to cross to the other side, Togo, with some of the visitors from the diaspora who had come into the country. Well, Jifa Gomashi is the MP for Ketu South, and she's been dealing with all these things. I mean, from the tidal waves, there's so much to be done in that area. Eh?
There is. But
Ketu
you see, so for Rudy Maya, they asked him to pay 42 Ghana cedis before they stamp his passport. And he said he was not going to pay that 42 Ghana cedis. Exactly. So the authorities were disgusted, and clearly they tried to show who was in charge, and that's how come we saw what happened, where they tried to seize his camera and all of that. We're hoping to get in touch with him sometime this week so he can narrate further what exactly happened at the border.
But this is a daily phenomenon that occurs like on a daily basis, because there are some traders in Togo who come right into Ghana to trade, and there are also some in Ghana who cross over to Togo to go and trade. And it's a daily thing for them, and this is what they go through all the time. And if we are talking about African unity, and every 25th of October, is it 25th May or 25th October, one of those dates, if we celebrate African unity, this mustn't be going on. I don't understand why this age-old problem is still persisting in 2023. But TV gets results. That's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about it. And I'm sure that duty bearers and stakeholders are watching this morning. Good morning to, what's her name? Foreign Affairs Minister.
Shirley
Ayoko-Boche. Good morning.
Bella's
sister. Oh, that's Bella's
My
sister? Shirley Ayoko-Boche, good morning.
She's very cute, actually.
She's beautiful.
She's very
beautiful
cute.
woman.
I saw her. She's really small like me. I was quite surprised because you know usually on TV people look very huge, but I swear she looked very cute. I was like, I like her.
She was really very good. Vocal.
But the reality is that it's the lip service that the African leaders, presidents or leaders tend to pay to so-called regional integration. That becomes the difficulty in trying to associate with some of the things that we witness. Because if you consider border crossings in Europe, sometimes they're just so seamless. People live on the other side of the Swiss border, going to Germany or elsewhere. They're in France, they work elsewhere in Germany. And it's so easy for you to cross over to go and work. It's not even today that, you see, for example, Brexit is no more, and so you find some of those. But, you know, the African leaders tried to do something like what the European Union did, and they haven't been able to replicate it.
Which is?
Which is trying to have a borderless union. And they haven't been able to do it for over 40 years. And you have to ask ourselves what really our focus has been. You know, the president, for one thing, always has good content in his speeches. And so goes around the world, even on the continent, saying that education, and even the latest, for example, today, he's saying that Ghana has so much, or the African continent has so much money, but we have the westernized or the developed world coming into Africa to take our minerals, our monies through some other sources of investment. And at the end of the day, the beneficiaries are not the Africans. So why is it that the leaders who tend to have these fine speeches don't tend to actualize the talk? Why is it difficult, for example, if you want to travel to Tanzania, you have to take Air Rwanda, for example, and you have to go to Kigali before you go to Tanzania.
Which makes it more expensive.
If you want to go to Gambia, you take, is it?
Emirates or something?
No, the
one I've never been to Gambia.
No, okay, the one that's in Kenya is what? Which one?
Kenyan Airways.
Kenyan Airways. You have to go to Nairobi
before you connect.
Yes, that's how it is. That is, even if there's any other flight like that. If you want to go somewhere, let's say to Sierra Leone, I mean,
there's no direct flight.
There is a direct flight from Ghana. For example, you can take whether any of Delta, Kenyan Airways, and then we have Awa and all that.
Yeah.
But even the airfare itself is a hindrance. And then trying to do the connections is just is just a difficulty.
Yeah.
And Jifa Gomashi did put everything right. In the whole of West Africa, a subcontinent of, let's say, just in excess of 400 million people, just speaking two different languages, foreign language, just two different, English and French. We have a difficulty. And we even have common languages. So somebody is, let's say, speaking of in Togo
yeah,
and having a difficulty accepting somebody who speaks the same from Ghana to cross.
And the question I want to ask, I don't know about you guys, I'm sorry.
And I remember my first experience when we were getting through Cotonou to Seme border, and then our cameras were seized. We were being taken by the gendarmeries to the station. They said La Parelle. They would not. They pretended as if they
couldn't understand the English language.
And we even had somebody from the Ghana embassy in Cotonou who was accompanying us. I think
was the person communicating in French?
Yeah, could speak French.
They still pretended?
Yes, they pretended. They took us there. We waited for hours. And, you know, you keep asking yourself, are we really committed to the things that has made other continents and other people develop? Look, the UAE, China, they decided to shut shop for 20 years. And by the time they opened their borders, we're all gone.
I'm interested in what type of documentation they require or want to see at the borders that makes this difficult. I'm asking because then what's the place of the Ghana card? Because Dr. Baumia told us that the Ghana card should be able to allow you to go everywhere in the world. How many countries that he mentioned, which turned out to be
but you know that was shut down.
Exactly. So I'm just asking that even if it can't take you outside Ghana, this is Togo and Ghana. So I'm just asking, what's the value of the Ghana card? What type of documentation do they look for?
There is an ECOWAS brown card.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then,
and right now, for example, if I want to go to Togo, once I have the ECOWAS brown card.
So the Ghana card is not enough to
so that's what
let
I'm
you
asking.
cross the border?
Is the Ghana card not enough?
I think if you look, or if you perhaps avert your mind to what the Minister of Foreign Affairs did say regarding what Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's office did announce, was the fact that if they have some communal or some similar pact with a country, then those travels could be possible. It is not for you to onboard from Ghana to that country, but if you're coming back, it's easier for you to use a Ghana card. That's what he did say.
When you're coming back?
Yes.
But we are not talking...
It's not for you to do onboarding from Ghana.
But we are not talking foreign countries and all this.
Documentation is not difficult. We have the ECOWAS brown card. It's something that ECOWAS...
So you need to get a brown card before you can
So that's what we are asking that...
Yeah, without the passport.
Without a passport, okay.
But Ghana card qualifies at this moment as our passport.
Yes, it's an ECOWAS card.
Yes. So does that mean that if you have the Ghana card, it's not enough? I think we must investigate or like look for more information.
No, the thing is that we shouldn't have any difficulty because if the person is going to Togo or something like that, if the person doesn't have any form of identity, that person has a Ghana card or the ECOWAS brown card or has a passport. I mean, it's basic.
It should be, yeah.
So they just are not willing to create that sort of communal living among themselves. Anyway. Why is it that we cannot easily export something to Togo, but we can easily export something to the European Union?
Well, we're not even supposed to be using one currency in West Africa.
Yeah.
What has happened to that? We've not even been able to achieve that. I mean, this launch of AFTA, and I always question, because that's supposed to be, you know, a means of even trade, exactly, across the African countries, and especially for the West African countries. There have been people who have still complained about difficulty in even having goods crossover. And clearly, if you're crossing the Togo border, unfortunately,
the Wahala,
they need to check your goods, they need to check all that. If they're asking for Wodi Maya to pay 42 Ghana cedis, imagine you have a whole truck that's leading you or following you, trying to cross the border. What's going to happen to you?
Anyway.
Clearly, they would ask for more.
Okay. Now, there's an African president, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has something to say about this whole border situation. Let's take a listen.
Former, yeah.
Oh, former. Yeah. I apologize.
Gathering. You know, these borders, and I also mentioned to my brother, these borders that you create silos for yourselves amongst, you must always remember, are not your creation. These were creations of people outside of this continent who made these borders not to develop you, but to extract from you. Now that you want to develop yourself, we must start looking at these borders and we must start removing the barriers that we have put, that have defined us in the past, and now hinder us from being the giant that we should be.
Uhuru Kenyatta, that's the former president of Kenya. Well, you heard it all. But away from border issues and all that, the